Hello movie lovers, welcome back! Today I've got a spooky review for you. We're taking a look at Hauntology, now available on digital from Gravitas Ventures. A big thanks to Gravitas Ventures for providing a screener. They're definitely not haunting my inbox, but they are keeping the chills coming. Hauntology is an anthology horror movie with a runtime of 1 hour and 40 minutes, and it's rated R for some mild scares, and maybe a bit more gore than core. Now, let's dive into the meat, or perhaps the bones, of the film. Hauntology is structured as an anthology film with 4 main stories linked together by 2 sisters who serve as the movie's hosts. When the younger sister decides to run away from home, her older sister takes her on a road trip where she spins scary tales set around their hometown. These tales feature witches, ghosts, and killers, but the real twist is that these stories might have more to do with the sisters than we first realize. A neat idea on paper, but let's see how it unfolds on screen. Oh, did I mention that most of the stories have an LGBTQ+ element? Unfortunately, while the inclusion is nice to see, it often feels more like window dressing than a meaningful part of the plot. It's like putting a rainbow sticker on your haunted house, but forgetting to make the house itself scary. Let's break down the individual stories and I'll share my thoughts. First up, we have Witchcraft Becomes Her. This one tells the story of a boy who's been told his whole life that he's a boy, but undergoes a strange transformation into a girl with the help of a monster? I'll be honest here, I'm not entirely sure what the creature was, and the movie doesn't do much to explain it. Then the newly transformed girl is courted by the perfect man, but something's off about him, too. Honestly, this segment didn't do much for me. The pacing is slow and the story, while intriguing on the surface, left me scratching my head more than covering my eyes in fear. It's like going to a haunted house for frights, but finding a puzzle instead. You want scares, not confusion. So, not the strongest start. Next is the day Mabel came out of the grave, and here's where things get a little hazy. This one focuses on 2 women in love, and it seems to flirt with the idea of the supernatural, but never quite commits. Ghosts pop in and out of the story, but the emotional beats feel half-baked, and the scares are practically non-existent. This segment plays out like an art house film that forgot it was supposed to be a horror flick. Maybe it's about love transcending death, or it's about nothing at all. Either way, I found myself checking the runtime rather than getting lost in the story. Now onto Paint and Black Lace, and things do pick up a bit here. This one has more of a slasher vibe, and we even get some practical effects, which is always a plus in my book. It follows 2 guys who are trying to sell some paintings, and things quickly take a bloody turn. There's some mystery around why they're mixing paint and blood, though. Like a lot of this movie, that thread is left dangling. At least there's some actual tension here and a few decent moments of gore. While it's still far from a masterpiece, Black and Lace offers the most entertainment out of the middle stories. Let's just say it slashes its way to being somewhat watchable. Finally, we have the Old Dark Cashel House. Now this one caught my attention a bit more. It centers around a woman investigating an old haunted house, and while the plot is fairly predictable, the atmosphere is more effective here. The haunting visuals, along with an eerie score, create a mood that's missing from the rest of the film. It's the closest Hauntology comes to delivering a classic ghost story. If only the whole movie had leaned more into this style. There's something here even if it's buried under a lot of filler. After the 4 segments, we return to the 2 sisters. Without giving too much away, the final reveal ties their personal story into the tales they've been telling. It's an interesting twist, but like much of the film, it feels underdeveloped. The emotional payoff doesn't quite land, and the whole thing feels more like a made-for-TV movie than a cinematic horror experience. So, what's the final verdict of Hauntology? Well, let's just say it's more boo than booyah. The anthology format can be tricky to pull off, and this film doesn't quite manage it. Most of the segments feel like they're either too slow, too confusing, or just lacking in scares. Even the LGBTQ+ elements, while well-intentioned, feel tacked on rather than integral to the plot. The video quality is what you would expect from a low-budget film, serviceable, but nothing special. The audio, functional, though at times the music does manage to elevate certain scenes. Honestly, the score might be the movie's strongest element. Ultimately, Hauntology doesn't quite haunt, with minimal effects, little tension, and few actual scares. It feels more like a spooky bedtime story than a full-blown horror film. If you're looking for a slow burn with a few mild chills, you might find some enjoyment here, but for most horror fans, this one is likely to feel more trick than treat. I'm giving this one a 2 out of 5. It's not terrible, but it doesn't stand out in a genre full of stronger anthologies. Thanks again to Gravitas Ventures for the screener. And as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on Hauntology in the comments below. Maybe you saw something I missed. Until next time, stay spooky.
I've been wondering Bob's thoughts on the latest blockbuster scenes. Does he say it's all worth seeing, but just some dream? Bob's movie review.